real news. Honest and fun political talk weekly on the line 90.7 FM. Right now, we are joined with the one and only Styxhexenhammer666. If you don't know who he is, well, he will introduce himself right now. Hey, Styx, how's it going?
Hi, I'm going pretty well.
So could you just tell our audience a quick sort of rundown of who you are and what you do?
Yep, I'm a YouTuber, editor, and author from the state of Vermont.
I've been a listener of your channel for quite a while, followed you on YouTube, following your updates on stuff. I always thought you had the best predictions on elections and just politics in general. Have you guys been listeners of Styx?
Yeah, I have. I've always been listening to a lot of his commentary. Just one recently, I was listening to him talking about Varg. I am a bit of a metalhead, so I kind of know what goes on in the black metal scene. So when he was talking about it, I was pretty excited.
There you go. Got one metal fan here. Do you have any input on that?
I've been listening to him for a long time too. I've always found his insight to be probably some of the best insight on YouTube. A lot of the stuff that you hear on YouTube is very biased, very, I don't know, like one-sided. And Styx appears very. The insight is really, really good.
Yeah, I totally agree. So the reason because Phil actually is the one here that asked to have him on, which I was gracious to have him reach out and then Styx come on. But the main thing we want to talk about now is the Vox Adpocalypse, which has been sweeping the interwebs this past week. Because Vox, if you don't know, has this guy Carlos Maza, and Steven Crowder kind of makes fun of him in videos, and now he's gotten so triggered by it that he's actually trying to ban Crowder just from the platform completely, and maybe even the whole entire internet. And this has resulted in YouTube now demonetizing his channel. And we know that Styx here is a popular YouTuber. He has, I think, over at least 350,000 subs. And
yeah, about 370,000.
Yeah, there you go. You're almost at 400,000. And you've been very successful. I'm just going to ask real quickly, one, what is what do you think is the real main intent of Vox here? Are they trying to remove all conservatives, any dissidents, or are they just trying to go after Crowder himself? What's the real end goal here?
The end goal is that Vox doesn't want to compete with any YouTubers. It wants to be a YouTuber. And so by trying to get YouTube and similar groups to deplatform people like Crowder or myself or, any of a million other people, they can make more money. It's worth noting as well, Tim Pool actually uploaded a video less than an hour ago on this subject, which is quite good as well.
Yeah, I'm a follower of Tim Pool as well. I always think his news videos are always a great, fair, just rundown of the news and with a fair opinion as well, too. I really like his work, too. But has Vox actually tried to target you in any way?
No, I got defamed by BuzzFeed.
Oh.
I guess I'm not big enough for Vox yet.
Yeah. Oh, they'll probably come after you soon, I bet.
Oh, probably.
What do you think is the next move for Crowder?
I think that he should ignore Vox entirely and just satirize them and keep doing exactly what he's doing, but he needs to branch out into all tech. I know he's got a BitChute channel, actually. He hasn't talked about too much. I'm not sure if he's on Minds or Gab.
Yeah, I don't think he's on Minds or Gab, but he's definitely on some of the other alternatives like BitChute. I know you're really big on BitChute, too. What do you think about BitChute?
Well, I just hit 44,000 subs on there. I'm the biggest user. I obviously like the platform. But the thing is, the best thing about BitChute is I can communicate actually with the people that are, sort of running it, sort of organizing things, and therefore I can have some trust that it's not just like a sham like some sites have done.
Yeah. Well, I've heard many of these sort of conservative types, they'll be calling, not just the people that are banned, but some of the people still on, they'll either be calling for regulation or moving to these alt tech platforms. Obviously, you've, not kept all your eggs in one basket, which is really smart, because if you're taking out YouTube, you're still on BitChute. But do you see the future being everybody that's, interesting, free speech, provocative, fun, or even just to the right of Stalin is going to be on these alternatives, or are they going to have to regulate big tech?
Well, it's like earlier, and this is going to be a video for tomorrow, teaser for people if they're subscribers. Caleb Kane just came out and did a sort of a thing with the New York Times, talking about how he was led down the alt-right rabbit hole, and talking about like James DeFrancis and Paul Joseph Watson of all people are on this list. Yeah. But like the thing is, this is straight out of the satanic panic sort of mentality. If you look back at some of the stuff that was made then, people would blame the devil for their bad deeds. And he feels guilty about his life, so he wants to blame YouTubers. And it's the same thing, and in a few years this will be passé, and a lot of the people that right now are joining with BuzzFeed, Vox, and so forth, and they're talking about how bad people like we are.
Mm-hmm.
They'll go back years later and they'll say, well, no, we never believed those sorts of things. We always knew that it was superstitious nonsense, that it was led for political reasons, and corporations were trying to make money, and they'll have a cop-out. But until then, we have to deal with their nonsense, basically.
Yeah, I kind of see it the same way. I have a big fan who can't get on right now, unfortunately, because the Discord isn't working on here. But he's wondering if BitChute will actually overtake YouTube at this current rate. Do you think that's foreseeable in the future?
It's possible. I have no way of knowing. YouTube, it never thought, years and years ago, I never thought would be as big as it is.
Yeah.
It's the same as Facebook or any of these other sites.
Do you think YouTube will actually fix this demonetization feature? Because I noticed it's going like so ridiculous where people with math videos are getting demonetized. A channel with just nature videos and just recording the sounds of nature is getting demonetized.
Yeah. Eli the computer guy.
Yes.
Got he got his live stream turned off for some content thing. He's been doing that for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Has like 1 million followers.
Yeah.
Like they just like and the thing is, it all happened on the same day. It's like it's so ridiculous.
What do you think of that, Styx?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But the thing is, I never monetized to begin with, so I'm a little bit out of the loop when it comes to those things. Because I never used AdSense. I always thought that crowdfunding was better because I always use ad blocking software. So I figured I didn't want to be a hypocrite.
Yeah. Do you guys have any other questions you'd like to ask?
No, I don't.
What about you, Phil?
Well, I just want to like with BitChute, because you are the guy essentially, right? Like for the time being, I guess. I don't know where BitChute ends up. What makes it so attractive versus like some of the other alternatives?
With BitChute, are you asking me? Or?
Yeah. Because like you're the guy.
Yeah, you're the king of BitChute.
Well, it's easier to use. Like I've used DTube and some things before, but they're harder to use than BitChute is. It's more like YouTube, number one. It's like YouTube before YouTube became more refined post Google. Like YouTube was only in like 480 and had lower audio quality buffering problems. And it's also P2P. The thing is, if it's peer-to-peer, it costs less for them to host things, which means that things can be a little bit more streamlined in the future, depending on what they do. And I do know there are some developments with BitChute that I won't go into. I think that they can run a profit and not have a whole problem with storing, data or anything. Mm-hmm. Which YouTube has had continuous problems. They're losing money right now.
Yeah, YouTube is honestly, even though it's such a big platform, when you get that big, you're running into problems that smaller alternatives like BitChute aren't going to have, which is, like as you described, a great positive. But another interesting angle I've seen to this was from Milo Yiannopoulos' Telegram channel. As someone who has been literally just wiped off the internet, he's now, and a bunch of other people are on Telegram creating these channels. And one idea he was pushing, I mean, he seems definitely to have a little bit of personal problems with Steven Crowder, but he, on a more I guess you could say philosophical or strategical standpoint, he was pushing for Crowder to be banned because he thinks it will take these bigger conservatives like Steven Crowder, who has I think almost 4 million subscribers now, to be banned for actual mainstream conservatives to actually start caring about this. Do you think that's a good strategy? Is that going to be dangerous, or is that what it's going to take?
Wait, Milo said that?
Yeah, Milo said that.
I would totally disagree. Look, InfoWars got banned and the world barely batted an eye. The only thing we can do at this point, number one, we can innovate. That is all tech. Number two, creators can stand together, shout one another out, buff themselves up, and we become more powerful, which makes it harder to deplatform us. It makes it more conspicuous when we're gone. It makes it more painful for the establishment. And number three, we can use the political process maybe to try to help the situation, but ultimately, like, there was an article a few days ago where, what was it, Slate, I think, was saying, oh, we need to return to the golden age of broadcast regulations, regulate the internet. And it's like, well, then I can't say poop, on YouTube without getting censored or something. No thanks. But I think the other thing is we can simply wait. If we defend things the way that we have been, roughly, keep creating content, keep speaking out, don't be afraid, eventually the paradigm shifts over, the censorship goes away because it falls out of fashion, which it always has in the past.
I'm, as you probably are guessing, we're a more conservative-leaning individuals here on this radio show, but I'm, the biggest supporter of free speech you'll ever meet. I personally feel that we're going to need regulation on this because I don't think it's going to stop with just these right-wing people. I think you're going to start seeing some moderate left-wing people like Dave Rubin, I don't even know if called Joe Rogan left-wing, but more censor people are going to start getting kicked off, and they're going to get really mad, and they will start pushing for it.
It's already happened.
Oh, yeah, we're seeing journalists, I forget his name, but I was trying to get him on, or you and I were both trying to get him on the show today, Phil and I, and he couldn't, I think his videos were demonetized, and he's just a regular journalist. Like, where is this going to stop? Is it going to just stop as everybody moves to an alternative? I mean, there's no end in sight at this point.
Well, they've been doing that on Facebook for months now. Cop Block and a bunch of other groups got kicked off. They were run by a bunch of liberals from yesteryear that were like Obama fans and stuff. I can remember that from the Zeitgeist era.
Well, I think that's almost like there was this one account that was they removed because they thought it was a Russian bot or a Russian source, and it was like a Black Lives Matter supporter or something. So, with sites this big, how can they even regulate all of these people? Because there's just so much content.
For all of your listeners out there, let me ask them a rhetorical question. If Facebook says that some group is run by Russians or by Russian bots, how is it that the little people are supposed to know that that's not a full of crap claim?
Yeah.
They can't.
Yeah, exactly. You really can't answer that question unless, as you're seeing now also, this is maybe going a little on a tangent, you're having mainstream outlets like the Daily Beast and CNN doxing people that make memes. Are they going to start doing that to other people? What do you think of that? Do you think that's going to become a bigger issue?
Well, doxing's always been kind of a big issue. That's why I put my real address out there like a decade ago so that nobody could dox me.
Yeah, that's the best way to get around it. Have you ever heard of the site stream.me by chance?
No, I haven't.
Well, there was like some random drop-offs from it of some big names, but sites like that were becoming a alternative for people like Andy Worski, who was, I think, demonetized and banned from YouTube, to be on another alternative. But let's say the domain of stream.me gets pulled. Let's say these domains get pulled. Let's see, like PayPal now, you can't donate to people. Is it gonna, like, how are we gonna prevent just conservatives from not getting banned from using their credit cards or other things like their bank accounts? Because I don't, to be honest, know all the laws in place. I'm still a little young, not quite into the real world yet. But do you see of some big problem happening there? Because I don't, to be honest, know.
Banks are kicking people off of their accounts and stuff like that for political views is disgraceful, and Chase especially should be disgraced and boycotted by everyone. People should look into local credit unions, number one, but also use Subscribestar for crowdfunding, and PayPal is totally vestigial anyway. You don't need it.
Yeah.
Like eBay has taken steps now to do. There are certain vendors that won't even let you use PayPal now. They'll only take card.
Well, I think Milo, for example, I know he's been banned from Patreon, banned from Subscribestar too, I think, and I think PayPal. People
Milo was banned from Subscribestar?
I think so. I could be totally wrong on that, but
I'll look into that myself.
yeah, we'll definitely need to fact check it. But the point still will stand is that he's been consistently removed from every new platform he tries to go on, and sometimes it's gonna or at some point it's gonna hit a point where there's gonna be no platform except some little one. It makes you wonder that crypto might actually be the future for this.
Well, crypto is pretty great. I hold Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I'm very glad that I did not sell it off a couple months ago.
Yeah. I know everybody was selling off because they thought, oh, they're gonna make a lot of money now, but to be honest, it's probably the safest currency out there.
There's a bear trap going on right now. I'm convinced, so I'm holding it.
Yeah. Who do you think, though, is the ultimate gatekeepers in terms of these domains and payment processes? Other big fans wants us to ask you this.
There's no single gatekeeper. The thing is, they formed like a trust. It's not a monopoly. A monopoly would be like Google runs the whole internet.
Mm-hmm.
With a trust, it's more like Google, Apple, Facebook, and a bunch of other groups do, and they simply coordinate loosely with each other with the same goals in mind. It's like when people get kicked off these platforms, it's all about money. A lot of people think it's more about politics, but I've seen people on the left get, screwed over too, like, again, Cop Block and similar groups.
Yeah.
There have been people who are self-proclaimed liberals that have been banned. The next thing they'll come for is the far left, ironically. They're going to go for the progressives, and then people on the right that have already been to platform will cheer, and they'll say, well, I guess that this tech censorship isn't that bad. Ha, they've seen the light, and they're going to be celebrating their own demise.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it was on Bill Maher's show. I forget who they were talking about. It was Alex Jones, and Alex Jones got banned from literally the internet. Bill Maher mentioned it, and his audience cheered, and he's like, no. We need free speech. We need these people out there. Even though Bill Maher, think Alex Jones is a crazy loon, we need these ideas out there. And
Bill Maher is an interesting dude.
Yeah, he's very interesting. I mean, I disagree on most of his politics, but on religion and a few other things I'll agree with him on. But I have to give him credit where credit's due. He is principled on free speech.
Mostly.
Except
he's praying for a recession.
That's true. I forgot about that. And that's the depressing thing is, like, you even find these guys like him where you're like, oh, maybe they're not so bad as, like the right-wing media will spin them to be. And then you see stuff like that, and it's like, why? Come on.
It's sad. Bill Maher is the sane one.
Yeah.
That should scare us.
Yeah. Well, the left keeps moving further left, and that's why, it's become hard to find anyone in the center anymore, except maybe your neighbor that's a average lefty. But I think that's all I basically want to ask. Do you want to ask anything else, Phil? I know you always have something to say.
Well, no, I like with YouTube is like really, obviously YouTube's like really huge. I was looking up a statistic. They upload 500 hours of content per 500,000 hours
every day.
Yeah. Like, that's nuts. And I'm like, how can YouTube regulate? How can YouTube regulate anything with that much traffic going on? Like, there's not enough of people. There's not enough of algorithms. There's not enough to accurately pull something like that off. Like, how do you go, so I do they do the lazy thing? Do they just run the algorithms, and then if there's an issue, then they have people trying to, because that's scary too, because you got, like, look, they're out in central California, Bay Area, California. That's nuts.
Can I put a little bit of a somewhat conspiracy theory out here?
Sure, we love conspiracies.
Yeah. YouTube is waiting to declare itself a publisher or a platform until its AI is good enough that it can be a publisher and not worry about the legal repercussions, because it'll be able to filter out 99.9% of everything without a human.
Honestly, that's possible, because
they're saving off Congress as long as they can. They're willing to pump billions of dollars into it if necessary.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, they'll declare themselves a publisher, and it'll become the new on-demand.
Well, are you afraid of your channel actually being removed or banned from YouTube anywhere near the future?
No, because if my channel is removed, I would just make another one for using YouTube as a jukebox, and I would use BitChute. So.
I'm just gonna read this off. This will probably be our last question we have time for. Our friend, big fan, and usual co-host is asking, what are your thoughts on how once something is gone from YouTube, it's many times gone forever? Like the history professors who got classrooms info pulled from YouTube.
Oh, is this a question for me?
Yes.
I would say archive as much of the good YouTube stuff as you can that you enjoy, because I've actually experienced that myself, and not because of censorship, but just because of people that I was subscribed to that would like yank their channels randomly, they'd take videos down randomly, and I'll never be able to see that content again. So I've started archiving as much as possible. You can use like YouTube MP3 for audio. Downloading video is easy, like the MP4.
Yeah. Yeah,
by the way, disclaimer, not telling anyone to do that for anything that's copyrighted.
Yeah, thank you. Saved us. Because I noticed that I think today that Gavin McGinnis just backed up his entire YouTube channel because he's worried he's going to get pulled, which is probably likely, considering his association with the Proud Boys and how much Big Tech hates the Proud Boys. But I wanted to emphasize, though, one last thing, is that, like you said, and it's very important for people to realize, is while some of these bans may be political, it's mostly because of money. It's mostly because they want to appease the advertisers. Because if you have anything risky, advertisers aren't going to like that. They're not going to advertise on your platform, and you lose money. YouTube's a business, so money's the end goal. But I'll leave you with one last final thought of anything you want to say. And tell us where we can find you and all that other good stuff.
Yeah, you can find me on tarlwarwick.net, easiest, and it has links to everything else, or on my YouTube channel, Styxhexenhammer666, but if you just Google that, it'll be fine. What I would encourage people to do is just speak out against censorship at all costs. Don't be afraid, because it will pass by just like every other moral panic has. Yeah.
I couldn't have said it better. And yes, like he said, his website is tarwarwick.net. I've been on. He's got his books on there, his videos. You can support him on Patreon, Subscribestar. He's got his BitChute channel, Daily Motion, YouTube. I think he even got a blog on there and whatnot. Nice merch.
Yeah, 2 blogs.
Oh, 2 blogs, yes. And
I'm fancy now.
Yeah, yeah. Anyone that has 2 blogs knows that they've gotten somewhere. But I love all your work. I love your content, and I just hope you keep doing what you're doing. And I'm glad you came on the show. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime. Just hit me up.
Sure. Thank you very much, Styx.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. There we go. Wow, that was great.
That was great.
That was probably our highest profile guest ever.
Probably.
That probably was. That was great.
Probably. That's great. I mean, but he brings up a lot of good points too. Like this Vox Adpocalypse mess is nuts.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Nuts.
And I'm glad we got an actual YouTuber, like a bigger YouTuber, not just us with our 31 subscribers, to actually have a valuable opinion on this.
Hey, those 31 subscribers are wonderful people.
They are. They're very fine people.
They're very fine people.
Yeah, I totally agree. So. Thanks to Dictator Phil. Again, I have to give so much thanks to Dictator Phil today for reaching out to these people. He reached out to Mr. Sam Whitfield. Sam, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on air.
No problem.
I'm Sam Whitfield. I'm the host of an internet podcast / live stream show called The Whitfield Report. And I've been doing podcasting for about 10 years now. I'm 24, but I started when I was 14. So I've been doing podcasting and politics for a while. But I recently started a YouTube channel about like a year ago for the show. And this Adpocalypse thing, it hasn't affected me yet, but I certainly am worried that it's going to start affecting smaller content channels.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. If anybody wants to check out more of Sam's stuff before we get into the discussion here, you can go to thesamwhitfield.com and I'll link it to his podcast and his YouTube channel, all kinds of other cool stuff. And I would like to say too that I'm pretty young right now. I started sort of podcasting radio at a young age too, so I know what it feels like to be at that level right now where you're starting things up, getting in the groove of things and trying to push your stuff out. So it's definitely a fun experience, and I love doing it. And Dictator Phil here, you were in the same class as this guy, right?
Were you? Hey, I got to ask a question real quick. Were you in SOS 119?
No. So I'm actually not even in Pennsylvania. I used to podcast with one of your associates, Jeff Hamill.
Okay.
Who used to be on my podcast network. So I was all the way out in Florida. So.
Okay. Yeah, because I remember because we kind of synced up. Like when I took SOS 119. We kind of synced up through because they have there's like a really big class, and you have like a Twitter feed, and like we were like some of the conservatives like really because they were few and far between, really kind of like rallied together. What kind of if somebody just in case for some of these listeners, what kind of stuff do you talk about on your podcast?
So, interestingly enough, I actually talk a lot about how technology is affecting politics and kind of new media. Andrew Breitbart, who was the founder of Breitbart.com, he has since passed, but he was a huge influence on me getting into kind of the new media movement and really starting my own show. So, I mean, I've been following this type of stuff for a long time. And I would say that kind of the golden age of sort of media, which was from 2009 to 2011, has really kind of passed by. I mean, we're kind of now in the dark ages with the Vox, that whole thing, whatever they're calling it.
Yeah, the Vox Adpocalypse is the hashtag being thrown around. I'm a big fan of Andrew Breitbart too. He was a little bit before my time. I would say probably my biggest influence. It's going to sound cliche, but it is Trump. But I've been looking recently, a few months ago, I was looking at a lot of Andrew Breitbart videos, and that guy was if he was alive right now, he'd be giddy and happy seeing the right-wing culture war against the left just blowing up to another level, and the right actually fighting back with people like Milo, with people like Crowder, all these other cultural figures. So I'm a big fan as well because he really understood it. His famous quote, "Politics is downstream from culture," is what every conservative should be saying to themselves every single day when they're trying to fight the good fight we're in. He is just an absolute amazing man.
Yeah, he understood the cultural war better than anyone else.
Yep.
I've actually gotten the chance to work with some of the people who he used to work with as well. I actually got to interview Ben Shapiro on my podcast.
Oh, nice.
6 years ago, before Ben Shapiro became Ben Shapiro.
Yeah. Are you not a fan of him now?
Look, I'll always respect Ben Shapiro because he was kind of the one who gave me my first, big break. I kind of made my bones with him. But, I still like Shapiro kind of personally. I disagreed with him, going over Trump. But I was listening to your segment on, with Styx. And the one thing that I have to say is, Styx is absolutely right that they're not going to stop at just Crowder. They're going to go after Shapiro next.
Yeah.
They're even going to go after some of the more liberal voices like Dave Rubin. This doesn't stop at just right center people. And this really, I don't know. This, on the one hand, I'm not a huge proponent of regulation usually, but I think in this case, the government is going to have to step in and do something.
Yeah.
Because this is getting ridiculous.
I tend to agree on that, and that's where I think Styx and I may have had probably our biggest difference was that I think that we are going to need some government regulation. I don't think the alternatives will ever get big enough. I forgot to ask him, and I should have, about the idea of the network effect, which is once everybody's on one platform and all their friends are on that platform, it's hard for them to move to another platform. What do you think of that? Do you think that's the case, is that people just, all their friends are on Facebook, all their friends are on Twitter, so they're not going to move to any of these alternatives because only like conservative people are on there. There's nobody else really.
Well, so I've actually talked about this on my show a little bit, and here's the problem with like a lot of these alt platforms, and I'll use Gab as a specific example. So Gab, a good idea. The problem with Gab is overrun by hardcore alt-right people who really say some, detestable stuff, and that's their right to do so. But when your platform is overrun by like alt-right people who are hardcore, it's going to get hard for like more, I don't even want to say moderate, but just more traditional conservatives to migrate to these platforms. The other thing, and this is why the Vox Adpocalypse is so bad, is the name of the game is to grow your, podcast or your YouTube channel or whatever it is. And so, what is the main platform that people go to watch video content when they want to discover something new? It's YouTube, or it's iTunes, or it's one of, like, your average Joe on the street isn't going to go to BitChute because they've likely never even heard of it.
Right.
And, even if they do, there's, it's just, people have to stop, thinking that the alternative platforms, that's the only solution, because it may solve a problem for people's existing audience, but in terms of growing one's audience, it's not going to do anything. So
I've noticed kind of that too, that like when trying to grow our audience here, if I advertise as much as possible everywhere as possible. I'll advertise on Facebook, Twitter, Gab, Minds, Reddit, YouTube, wherever I can.
Sure.
But I just realized I did today. I forgot about Gab and Minds because I advertised this show for 3 guests on. I totally forgot to advertise on Gab. Even somebody like me that knows it exists forgets about it. So it's like that, it's just going to be sort of like on the shelf and you're going to forget it's there. It's like that book that, you have and you just sort of forget it's even in your bookshelf.
Yeah, well, and let's be honest, too. The other thing is these platforms are still relatively new. They're still being developed. Gab actually used to have a TV feature that they thought was going to be the big competition to YouTube, and they had to shut that down.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't stable. So, like or not, like YouTube's system in terms of distributing video is pretty top shelf. And no one's really going to compete with them. I know that there's Vimeo, but you have to pay to use Vimeo. And so, honestly, like, my proposal is just that Congress do what they did with the telecommunications companies back in the 1900s, which is to just break up the monopolies. I would argue that it's even more important today.
Do you think at some point, though, that with the internet sort of being it literally is the World Wide Web, do you think we'll have to split off from Europe and have our own rules, or Europe will have to split off? Like, could you see anything possible with that? Because we're seeing the EU kind of regulate things differently. Like, would there be a major split in some way in the future?
Yeah, well, I think regulation is coming regardless. I don't know if you guys watched Cool at all. He's pretty centrist, but that is one thing I agree with him on, is regulation is going to come, sooner rather than later. And I think because of the differences here, we are going to split from the EU. Now, I think, just like here, you will be able to see, European content still. I don't think that's going to go away, but the regulations in terms of distributing content will be different.
Mm-hmm. Do you have a question you want to ask Dictator Phil? So you're kind of getting ready.
Well, no, I think with YouTube, and I was talking a little bit about this with Styx too. What do you think ultimately the problem is? Is it like, do you think it's a direct bias, or is it just it's so big, there's no way we can accurately regulate something that we're even trying to do much. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. I think the big problem is a little bit of both. I mean, obviously, YouTube is run by Google and the CEOs that are very liberal, so I think there definitely is a bias problem.
Mm-hmm.
I also think that the system is just, I do think that the system is gargantuan. I don't think there would be as much of a problem if they were just, not being so selective about who they decide to ban. I think people are using, the fact that it's gargantuan as kind of an excuse to kind of mass ban people. But, at the same time, I think it would be manageable if we had, more conservatives on board at Google. Or more centered people.
Yeah. Yeah, because I'm worried about, Steven Crowder's obviously not going to be the beginning or the end of any of this demonetization or channel removals. Milo wasn't the beginning or the end. It's been going on for a long time. Milo's probably the big one to first fall, and we just keep seeing more and more and more dominoes fall.
Well, and if I might bring up this point.
Sure.
Steven Crowder and Milo, those are big names.
Yes.
And they're having to fight like hell, to resist Google and YouTube and whatnot. But what about a channel like mine? I'm almost at 500 subscribers.
Yeah.
What about a channel that has only a couple hundred subscribers, or only has a couple thousand subscribers?
Yeah.
They don't. I don't have the infrastructure to fight Google or, YouTube or iTunes. So if I get shut down, and once I go to one of these alternative platforms, I'm more or less done. And that's a real concern.
Oh, and that just made me think of something I never even considered, which is that imagine if you're let's say it's the current year, 2019, and you're a young Milo Yiannopoulos. You haven't been a big star yet. You are now just a little, up-and-coming journalist trying to make it big. He's not big as he is today. Imagine if he was trying to create his YouTube channel now, which is at almost 1 million subscribers currently. But imagine if he was at, our level of, in our case, 31 subs, your case, 500. Imagine he's at this lower level, and YouTube bans him now. We may not even know of him as the big culture star that he is now. That's the other thing people forget, is that YouTube can be silencing a lot of potential new influencers just right now, and we don't even realize it.
Yeah, well, and that's actually an argument that I made to someone yesterday, actually, because they were saying, "Oh, you're a smaller YouTuber, you don't have to worry about that." And yeah, I might not have to worry about that right now, but eventually, once YouTube starts to cannibalize the bigger channels, they're going to start going after the smaller channels.
Yep.
And they already have in some instances. One of the channels I follow on YouTube, Revenge of the Sith, they only have 3,000 subscribers, I think. Maybe a little more. But they're a smaller channel, and they just lost monetization as well this week. So.
Yeah, it's really, ever since YouTube started changing their rules where things just, anything remotely controversial, edgy, provocative, fun, interesting is now not advertiser friendly. You can't even do anything that's like this show, even that's just pushing a little bit of boundaries. Like, we can't even curse on this show because we're on the radio, but we're not at the monetization level yet. We might be sooner than we think. I don't know, but when we try to apply for it, YouTube might just shut us down because we see little right wing stuff. That's going to be a little advertiser unfriendly. Our advertisers aren't going to like that. So it's very possible that just all these younger channels, these smaller channels, just gonna get shut down so easily. And I'm glad you bring that up because people forget about the little guy and all this.
One thing that you made me think of too, with controversial content, the other big problem that YouTube has is that their languaging is not clear what they mean by controversial or borderline content. So let's just say I'm not doing politics. Let's say I'm doing a history type channel. If I show a video of World War II or the Holocaust, is that going to get flagged because it's violent or something, it's historical? That's the rabbit hole we're going down. Where even history is going to start getting deplatformed because it's uncomfortable or it's risque or something. I mean, that's the rabbit hole YouTube is opening up.
Yeah, Dictator Phil here again. So how do you if you were to play Miss Cleo and predict the future, what would you see happening? I know that's hard. I know that's a hard question to ask, but we always try to ask it because it's you want to be ready for the future, or you try to guess. But I know it's hard, but it's what do you think?
Well, this could go either one of two ways. If Washington wakes up and actually does something about this century and starts probing YouTube a lot more and actually says we need to do something other than just holding a panel, then a lot of channels might get restored, and this whole monetization thing might not be a problem. But if nothing continues to happen, then eventually only channels that have YouTube express permission to be alive or be on air will get to exist. So it could really go either way. But it could. But I mean, there's really no middle ground, I don't think. We've kind of lost the middle ground now. This is going to either end good for us or bad for us as independent content creators.
Last quick question I'll ask, then we're going to have to go to another quick sort of break. Do you think that YouTube will start losing money due to mass demonetization, or will they have to hire hate speech moderators to sort of deal with all these massive flaggings that, campaigns that Vox are starting or trying to do? Do you see any of that happening?
Well, they're not going to lose money initially. But if they keep on doing what they're doing, maybe 3 to 5 years, it could be sooner, though. As more and more people start to use the platform, they eventually will lose money. I mean, and maybe someone else will make something else. I mean, MySpace, people thought that MySpace was the biggest thing ever back in 2005, and then they started screwing out, and, Facebook came along and took them out because of their own stupidity. So I think eventually they will lose money, but it'll take a while until we see that effect.
Yeah, I think it will take a while.
Could you imagine being being a hate speech monitor at Google.
Worst job in the world.
Yeah. You'd be going to speed dating, and you're trying to explain to like 20 different chicks what you do. Oh, so what do you do for a living? Oh, I'm a hate speech monitor at Google. Whatever, Luther. See you.
Swipe left. Yeah, that'd be depressing. Thank you for coming on, Sam. Where can people again check out your work?
So people can follow me on Twitter at SamW_NBC. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. My website is thesamwhitfield.com, and my YouTube channel for right now, while it's still on there.
Yeah, while it's still there.
YouTube.com/The Whitfield Report. So, and my show airs Saturday nights at 10 p.m. So if you're still up tonight, tune in, and we'll be talking about this very thing.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll try and tune in unless, Vox pulls your show. We'll tune in. We'll try. Thank you for coming on again, sir. I really, really appreciate it. We'll probably, see if we can talk to you or other people that we've just like Styxhexenhammer and see if we have you guys on again, and maybe we'll go on your shows if you want. But we love it. We love all this stuff.
Yeah, I'd be happy to have you guys on. Just hit me up if either of you are free on a Saturday or on a Thursday, and we can connect and maybe do something.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
I love it.
Have a good one.
Yeah, have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Now we're going to continue our conversation on the massive Vox Adpocalypse and the YouTube censorship, the overall big tech censorship on the internet, with our next and final guest, Trent Trent Lapinski. I keep thinking it's Lowinski for some reason, but yeah, Trent Lapinski. So Trent, would you like to introduce yourself and give us just a rundown of who you are, what you do, and where we can find you on the internet?
Yeah, I'm Trent Lipinski, and I'm an executive in the tech industry. I've worked for a number of different startups. I'm a former tech CEO. I ran my own startup I sold about 4 years ago. And yeah, I currently consult in the tech industry. I'm in San Francisco right now. And I've been in this space for a while, so you can find me at Trent Lapinski on Medium, on Twitter. I just started a new podcast called techpost.io.
Nice.
And you can find me there.
And on TrentLapinski.com.
Yes, that as well.
Yes, I just want to make sure we got all that in. So, I think Dictator Phil, you reached out to Trent. I'll let you start the conversation then, since you got into contact with him.
Yeah, I was very intrigued by Mr. Lipinski because he has this really solid tech knowledge, and I felt like if we're gonna do this show, we needed somebody with a really good knowledge of what's going on, and like so and I follow him. I've paid close attention to him, and it's a pleasure, Trent. It's a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you for coming on.
Yeah,
so from your position, and I mean I've read up like a lot of what you said, like with your Twitter feed and stuff. What's your I don't want to say opinion or about this whole thing, because this whole thing
Analysis.
is like. This whole thing is nuts. So what for you? What's a good how do you see this whole thing?
So for some context for the listeners, like, they need to understand that San Francisco and Silicon Valley is a bubble. A lot of the people here, they went to colleges, like the college you're at. They moved to the Bay Area. They only really interact with the people they work with. They don't really interact with people outside that. So they've got a lot of political beliefs and opinions and ideologies, and unfortunately they enforce those ideologies at work. And they're the ones who are working for these tech companies. They're the ones who are making these decisions. And unfortunately, I mean, the only way I can describe it is a lot of these people are just brainwashed. And they're brainwashed to the left, they're brainwashed to the right, whatever their ideology. Obviously, Silicon Valley and San Francisco, it's mostly to the left. And they just don't, I don't know, they don't value American values. They don't value freedom of speech. They don't value liberty. They don't understand that if they make a decision that cuts off monetization for an independent journalist, that they're destroying their entire livelihood. It's just, they're behind the veil. They're a lot of these people are being paid a lot of money. They're comfortable. They work for a major tech company. They're disconnected from reality and what's happening in the rest of the world because they don't have to be connected to it. And they're put into positions of power where, what they say goes. And unfortunately, that's what leads to a lot of these really unethical decisions. I mean, personally, I view censorship and shutting down people's monetization and deplatforming as unethical. This is something we haven't seen since World War II and maybe the Cold War. It's not normal and it's not good. And we've seen where this road leads, and it's just not very American.
I totally agree. As I said earlier in the program, I'm the biggest free speech advocate you'll ever meet, and I can't stand any forms of censorship. But I've always kind of felt like you said that Silicon Valley is a bubble. They're all in the same area. They're all very left wing. And I notice there's a lot of left. And I don't like to play the whole the right's like this, left like this. But I notice with the left, mostly they tend to form these tighter knit bubbles. Usually it's because of the fact they live in cities. They're all sort of all in their little sphere with all their lefty friends, and they think everybody thinks like them. And if you don't believe me, just look at footage from November 9th, 2016. They were all crying because they thought there's no way in the world Donald Trump could have won the election. It's impossible. It's got to be fake news. It's got to be Russians. And, as you explained, which is a very important thing that conservatives should be, talking about more, or just anybody that cares about, just having a decent workplace, that these beliefs go into the policies of the workplace. So what I'd like to ask you then is, from your experience or maybe experience of friends, what policies, what behavior, what culture have you seen in the workplace that has been a result of these beliefs? Like, maybe give some examples, I don't know, some rules or way people have been treated. Like, what have you seen?
I mean, I try to stay out of it at this point because every time I get involved with a lot of these major tech companies, I can't even explain to them the decisions they're making and the impact they're having because they just don't think them through.
Yeah.
They look at them from the lens of their ideology and their opinion and their identity, and that's it. They don't consider other people and that other people may have a differing opinion. To be honest, I kind of try to avoid a lot of those situations. I mean, I've had a lot of instances where I just had to remove myself from the equation because I don't want to deal with it. It's really unprofessional how some of these people behave, and it has a direct impact on me and my career. And I just, like I said, I just leave the room because it's not even worth debating these people.
Yeah. I've learned that too, that you're just simply not going to change most of these people's minds. It's really the people in the middle, the people on the fence, the people that really don't have a strong stance on anything that are the most reasonable. And you can maybe show them that, hey, these ideas that like gender is a social construct are not based in science or stuff like that. Like you can have that opinion, but it's totally just one-sided now.
Like very one-sided.
Yeah.
Being in San Francisco, I was born in Fresno too. The way, like when you think of the Bay, when you used to think of the Bay Area back in the day, you always thought of free spirit, free speech, very those kind of values, and it's and really this whole nutty stuff that the progressive liberals have been doing really kind of I think it kicked off right when Trump got elected. But imagine hating someone so much that you're going to abandon the very foundation of what you believe in. Imagine hating someone so much that you're just willing to go 180 on everything that what you say you believe in, what you stand for. Where do you say, okay, so for you from a tech perspective, where do you see this thing maybe potentially ending up? Because I mean, and I know it's hard because,
Yeah. So, I mean, the technology has, so there's two things that happen. When the election happened, we did not have the same kind of artificial intelligence that we have today.
Mm-hmm.
AI and machine learning has progressed significantly since 2016, and it's frightening now. The last 3 years have just been insane. The amount of technical innovation that we're seeing, we haven't seen this kind of innovation this quickly in a very long time. So that was definitely a factor because the tools to censor and shadow ban and do all this were just coming into existence at the time that Trump got elected.
Mm-hmm.
So Trump himself actually used Cambridge Analytica and artificial intelligence to help him win the election. So a lot of people forget that. A lot of people don't talk about that. But the right is using AI just as much as the left is using it.
Yeah.
So what's happened is AI has become much more aggressive, and the tools have gotten better, and that allows them to change their algorithms to be able to censor people, shadow ban them. What Google and a lot of these tech companies do is instead of completely censoring someone and shutting them down, what they do is they dial them down slowly.
Yep.
So instead of shutting them down completely, they just go, all right, we're going to turn your dial from 10, we're going to turn it to 9, we're going to turn it to 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So that's what they've been doing since January on YouTube to a lot of independent producers and some of the people you've talked to earlier. And that's how they do it. They do the same thing with search results. They do the same thing with they do a yearly search change at Google, usually around May-ish. It depends, but when they do these things, they can literally eliminate anybody that they want, and they'll dial them down so slowly that you don't. If you're the creator or you're running the website or the news source or whatever, you're just watching your traffic go away slowly, and you're not sure why. But it's all because of algorithm changes being made by Google. And they've been doing this for 15, 20 years. I mean, it's really, truly anti-competitive behavior, and I think they should be investigated.
Yeah, I've heard about this for a while, too, because I've heard, I don't know if you know Scott Adams, he created the Dilbert cartoons, and he's been what people would call pro-Trump, but he's really just analyzed Trump in a more interesting way that's actually more accurate than any mainstream media hack job. But he has been noticing shadow ban on his followers, and even Vice actually wrote a piece where they admitted and found people like, I believe, the RNC chairwoman was being shadow banned. So I definitely see what you're talking about, where it's like, yeah, they won't just ban them, but they'll just sort of make them irrelevant. They'll be there, and they can, and that's what they'll do, I think, is they can then say, oh, we're not banning people. They're still there. Well, yeah, but nobody can see their stuff, and they're not coming up in the recommended section on YouTube, you know?
Yeah. Oh, it's Twitter, it's Facebook, it's every major social media platform. I mean, pick anybody who's considered to be center right, and they're probably shadow banned if they've got a significant social media following on one of those platforms, if not all of them. I recently interviewed Laura Loomer. I mean, people forget she's only 25.
Yeah, she's very young.
25-year-old journalist who has broken real news stories. I mean, she changed the FBI timeline in the Las Vegas shooting investigation.
Yeah.
And she's been deleted from every platform. She can't even have an Instagram or a Facebook account now.
Yeah, she's only on Telegram, and that's where I've had the app for a long time, but I've because I had a few friends on there, but it's totally been changed, recently now, where I have Milo, Gavin McInnes, Nick Monroe, Sargon of Akkad, Laura Loomer, Tommy Robinson, Paul Joseph Watson, and now Roger Stone. Because almost all those people have been either I mean, they've all probably been shadow banned, but Milo and Laura Loomer are just deleted off the internet. Alex Jones has been deleted off the internet. So the only way we can stay up to date as consumers with them is through Telegram now. But of course, the question is, what do you do when they get rid of Telegram? What do you do when the leftist mob pushes these people to be banned off Telegram? Because Telegram will now be framed, and it's already starting to be framed as the platform of the, quote, alt-right, even though none of these people I named are alt-right. None of these people like the alt-right, and the alt-right hates all these people.
Yep. I mean, even if you Google my name, it'll autocorrect when you start to type my name in to alt-right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
even
Google has labeled me as alt-right.
Yeah.
Google. No one else has.
yeah.
Just Google.
Well,
Like, the fact that search engine can do that is wrong.
You hear about
I-
Philip DeFranco?
yeah.
Oh my God, he's not even alt-right at all. Like
No.
they're like
You vote for Gary Johnson.
they put him in the that's so
The New York
terrible.
Times had a piece where they laid out all these people as being extremists that lead to the alt-right. They had Gavin, Tommy, and Milo, and then him. And it's ridiculous. And to go back to Scott Adams again, I remember he was raising a bunch of complaints at Google a few months ago, because when you would Google Scott Adams, the first few pictures that would come up would show him in a Nazi uniform. Totally photoshopped, totally fake. He is not a Nazi. He is, to the left of Bernie on many things and to the right on conservatives on many things. He's really a very independent thinker. But there are pictures of him in Nazi uniforms, and he's scared because now he's going to lose book deals. He's going to lose speaking, engagements. He's going to lose all kinds of things he'd normally have because there are these fake pictures going around of him in a Nazi uniform. And, when you Google your name, you see alt-right. So who knows? Somebody might Photoshop you with a Nazi uniform. Now, don't anybody get that idea. But
So I wrote an article called Trent Lipinski alt-right, so that the first thing you see when you search Trent Lipinski alt-right is an article I wrote about how I'm not alt-right.
yeah. There you go.
That's what I had to do.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but you have to now.
Telegram
yeah.
Telegram is actually, and I was looking it up. This is like Russia. It was like developed by the same guy that created VK in Russia.
Russian connection.
Right. Well, yeah. And then so he left. I think he left Russia because I think there was some sort of like Russian interference, like Russian government interference. So I think he moved to Europe of something along those lines. But another question I was going to ask: how do you ever see there being like a Silicon Valley outside of Silicon Valley?
Maybe
like
in Texas.
I mean, what's going to happen is we have to get better with our tech, and we have to decentralize. There are tools, blockchain tools, for example, decentralized databases. There are ways to build networks where it's peer-to-peer. We have BitTorrent. We had things like Kazaa and Napster. We've actually moved away from decentralized networks, went to the centralized network. Now everyone's getting censored, and now we have to move back away from them and go decentralized again. That's the only hope.
Do you, I forgot to, again, I keep regretting I forgot to ask Styx about this, but I asked Sam about this, but, there's a concept in marketing and the tech industry, I guess, too, of the network effect, where, if everybody's on one platform and all your friends are on that platform, it's hard to move to another platform. Do you, like, for example, if I'm on Facebook and Twitter and all my friends are on there, but none of them are on Gab, I'm not going to do much on Gab because nobody that I care about's on there. Do you see that becoming an issue with alternatives where, because of the network effect, we're going to have to do regulation of big tech?
Yeah, it's a cycle. We've kind of had this ebb and flow of social networks that existed anyways. There was MySpace before there was Facebook. There has to be an evolution, and really what has to happen is the next generation, Gen Z, is going to have to say no to the big tech companies and choose something else. And if they don't, it's going to have to be the generation below them. And that's really how you create change, is you get the younger generation to reject the systems that the older generation is putting them in. 15-year process to really truly make some of those changes. It takes a long time. So that's probably going to have to be what's going to have to happen is the younger generation is going to have to say no to using Facebook, no to using Snapchat, no to Twitter, and they're going to have to use alternatives that they own some of their data or there's privacy or protections built into them so that they don't lose their followers.
I'm curious on privacy. I've always kind of debated this in my mind. Do you think people care about privacy, or do you think people just sort of have an illusion that they have privacy, and that's where they're kind of like happy because ignorance is bliss, really?
I mean, you have to keep in mind, depending upon someone's age, if you're 15 right now, you've never had privacy. You've never known what privacy was because your entire life you haven't had it.
Yeah.
If you're 60, you remember life pre 9/11. You remember, what it was like to go to the airport and walk right up to your gate. Like, you have a memory of what it was like to have privacy before there was all this security and paranoia. So I think the older generations definitely remember what privacy felt like, and they gave it up for convenience. And the younger generation has never known. And that's the other thing to consider with some of these YouTube and Google employees. They're in their 20s. They grew up in a world of authority and control, and now they finally have a little bit of power themselves, and they're just taking advantage of it. So I hope that the next generation realizes that privacy is important because it is. And ultimately, we live in a surveillance state. And, I mean, that's the reality. The world we're living in. This conversation, every conversation you have on the phone, all your texts, all those messages, all that stuff being recorded in the cloud in a database somewhere. And we finally have the artificial intelligence to analyze it all in real time.
Yeah.
We're there now.
Is there any other little, I guess say insights in the tech world or things that people like us that are not as into that sort of universe that as you are, the stuff that we don't know that you'd like to mention that you haven't yet, a little, angles that we haven't seen, or just, things that the average Joe just doesn't even realize are happening to them?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, a lot of the people in Silicon Valley know exactly what they're doing. They've built these apps, they've built these social networks to be addicting. They use psychological manipulation tactics. These apps function much like slot machines. The
I've heard that
infinity
before.
scroll, the beeps and the noises and all that kind of stuff. So they've literally designed these apps to be addicting. There's people whose job it is to work at a major tech company. They call it engagement, and their entire job is to increase engagement. You can actually, this is a career. Like, you can work in the tech industry to make apps addicting for major tech companies. And they call it cute names, and they give them, fluffy names to make it sound like, oh yeah, this is a good thing. We're increasing engagement. What you're doing is you're increasing addictiveness.
Yeah.
And that's the reality of it. So I just caution people who aren't in the tech industry to understand that the people in the tech industry understand how psychology works, and they're building their apps and they're building these networks to control you.
I would say, I've heard that theory before, because I remember Alex Jones, who, was a conspiracy theorist and all that. He would say stuff that, Steve Jobs never let his kids play with an iPhone, iPad, because he knew it was addicting. And I've always wondered, is that true? Maybe. I mean, these things are addicting, and as you point out, it seems to be relative. It seems just to be that way. And as an ad major graphic designer, one thing I look for is why things are designed certain ways. And one of the things that's consistent with any bit of software is that when you get a notification, it's always in those red little badges with a number on it. And of course, one is to catch your attention and it's good aesthetics. But number 3 or 2, most importantly, is that it just, you have to click it. Every time you see one of those red badges, you just have to click that. You have to do it. And that's probably part of the engineering involved with it that's addicting.
It's social engineering.
Yeah, exactly.
And they've engineered us to do that. And I mean, one of the things you can do is turn those notifications off.
Yeah.
I do. I turn a lot of my notifications off. I put my phone on airplane mode and I run on Wi-Fi instead of LTE. IP, so they can't track me. You know, there's little tricks and tools like that. You can install a VPN on your computer. And you can screw up the app trackers, and there's different like extensions you can download to block a lot of the ads so you're not getting exposed to all the surveillance tests. But they're still going to do everything they can to track you, to watch what you're doing, track your buying habits. And now they can use AI to actually do predictive analysis to predict what you're going to do next, and then make sure that is delivered to you.
Yeah, I know. I literally just a year ago, 2 years ago now at this point, really realized how big AI is and how this is the biggest issue of our generation, because it's a whole different beast. It's a whole nother level where you're having robots that are smarter than you, that can do things faster than you, quicker than you, better than you, smarter than you, stronger than you, whatever it is. I mean, obviously in like the, physical form of a, robot looks like you, it's going to freak you out. But people forget how AI is already in our phones. It's already in our computers. It's already on Facebook. It's already on Google. It's already on all these platforms. And as you're pointing out, it's basically manipulating you 24/7, and people don't seem to realize it.
I mean, I had someone come up to me once that was a 17-year-old, and she asked me what the internet was like before algorithms. And it blew my mind, because I grew up, with an internet that wasn't algorithm-driven. I had to go to websites. I had to go to forums. I had to go find stuff to do, and it was infinite. You could just keep going and diving into all these rabbit holes, and, you could never not find what you were looking for. But I feel like these days the internet has become so small. All these apps, they look and feel the same. It's the same content recycled and regurgitated over and over again. It's kind of scary, because you can't even find what you're looking for on Google anymore. Really, it starts with the search results, and that's really where ultimately something has to happen. Someone has to create another search engine, or Google has to be broken up, or something needs to happen, because what's happened is with search, we're being fed nonsense. We're not being given the actual answers that we're searching for, and we're force-fed results that don't allow you to think critically, that don't allow you to analyze, like, is this true or not? And people just assume because Google fed it to them that it's real. And it's not.
I know, because every time I see like those cards pop up on Google, when you ask for definition or a fact about something, people, I notice in like videos now, like mainstream channels, like I don't want to use the name Vox, but I see in Vox videos, not a reputable source, but Vox and maybe like some other big names, they will, when they're showing a definition of something, they'll show a screenshot of the Google card, and I'm like, why is this all suddenly official? Like, I just think it's just silly that we're not, we're taking these things so for granted. We have to go to a break in a few minutes. Do you want to ask something? Or
no, I think it's funny. I think it's funny how like, and I think some of these people are just like not. I think some of these people are just stupid. I'm sorry. I like no, because
how
it's like,
dare you?
No, because you'll have a chick that's like, hey, I don't want people. I want to keep my privacy. Hold on, I forgot my phone. Let me take my phone. Like, oh, you're no, natural selection needs to take its course. I'm sorry. So section 230. So Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act is the part where they have the tech companies immune to litigation or liability.
Their content,
right? But they have, and it's like because that's the whole publisher v.
Versus a platform,
right? That's where it comes from. Yeah. It was created in 1996. Most of our platforms weren't even out yet. Like, do you think come on? Shouldn't we be updated? At least update that part of
I mean, ultimately, we need a digital bill of rights.
Yeah.
Our laws are living. I mean, in the dark ages, they do not under the Senate and possibly even Trump and, the current administration, they don't understand the power that the tech industry has. They don't understand the potential of AI. They don't understand where technology is actually at today. And, I mean, I'm fearful for the future of the economy because ultimately most jobs are going to go away in the next 5 to 15 years. Are going to be replaced by artificial intelligence.
Oh yeah.
It's already happening.
Yeah.
I remember I forget his name because it's a confusing Chinese name, but there was this guy on 60 Minutes that was sort of at the forefront of AI and wrote a book about it. And he said to Scott Pelley, the interviewer, that I think he said in 30 years, or it was sometime in our lifetimes, us college kids' lifetime, that I think he said 30 or 40%. I have to check these numbers, so don't take this for granted, listeners, but fact check me, please. But it was around, he said 30 to 40% of jobs would be displaceable by whatever time frame he said. And I was like, oh, crap. We are not prepared.
He's been talking quite a bit about this. He's running for president, actually.
Yes.
He's pushing for universal basic income.
Yeah.
And I think it's by 2030,
I think it's
20 to 30% of jobs are going to be automated.
Yeah. I think that's what I was hearing too.
To be honest with you.
I think Congress is just as clueless too. I remember watching. They had who the hell did they have? They had Mark Zuckerberg. They had Jack Dorsey in front of Congress, and they were talking, and they were speaking. They were answering the questions, and they were sort of answering the questions, but you could tell that some of these members of Congress had no idea what was going on, and I'm like, oh my God, what we're going to be harvested by robots in 20 years,
Well, that's the problem.
I mean, they've already harvested your Facebook profile.
No, I'm talking about harvesting bodies. I'm talking harvesting War of the Worlds harvest.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Well, to correct my statement earlier, the guy, his name was Kai-Fu Lee, and he said that in 15 years that AI will displace about 40% of the jobs in the world. So big scary stuff coming. And that shocked me too when he said that. But to go into Phil's point a little bit, yeah, these people in Congress have no clue anything about technology. They're totally dumb and out of touch. So my fear is that even though the government needs to get involved, it's going to be too slow and it might be too late to get involved.
I mean, it could lead to a real culture war. I hope not a civil war. But I mean, we are already in the middle of a culture war.
Yep.
And you've got Silicon Valley flexing its muscle right now, and they're trying to shut down any voice that they disagree with before the 2020 election.
Yeah.
This is about censorship. This is about shutting down independent free thought and independent voices, and they don't want their platform to, play any part in that. They want to literally take away the followers that people have built over the last decade and prevent them from being able to reach an audience so that they can't even share their ideas.
Yeah, and you've heard people on the inside that would talk to Project Veritas and other sources. They would literally, and I think Breitbart too, and they literally say that it's consistent what you hear from these people. They'll say, yeah, these big tech companies realize Trump used their tools to win 2016, and they want it to not happen again because they saw what happened. He basically won because I'd say partially because of the internet. But last question I'll ask you is, how much of this censorship, how much of the banning and all these algorithms and any sort of silencing of these voices, how much of it do you think is political and how much of it is just for money? It's just about, being advertiser friendly.
Honestly, everything they're doing right now is really bad for their bottom line and their revenue because they're basically telling half the country, you can't use our platforms, and that's bad for business. Mm-hmm. So the problem is these companies have so much money, billions, almost unlimited money compared to any other industry. And so they are willing to sacrifice revenue and profit for ideology and censorship. So that's what we're seeing right now. They've prioritized censorship above revenue and profit. If YouTube, for example, was an independent company and all they did was being a video platform and nothing else, and they weren't owned by a giant advertising company, then they would not be censoring users. They would not be getting rid of their creators. They would not be shutting people down. They would be doing the exact opposite because that's good for business. So unfortunately, I believe that what these tech companies are doing is because they have unlimited funds, they can then use that. They can lose money. I mean, YouTube has lost billions of dollars. Google stock is free falling. Like, a lot of the major tech companies have lost tens of billions of dollars in value in the last week over the antitrust, investigations that are potentially going to take place. So these companies are losing money because of these decisions. They're losing creators. They're losing the trust of the community. They are not going to benefit from this in any shape or form from a financial standpoint. So the advertisers they're looking at this chaos and they're going, man, I don't want to touch this. So it's bad for YouTube. It's bad for Google. They're going to lose money, and it's bad for the creators because they're losing money. So all this is happening right now. This is all ideology. This is all politics.
Yeah, it's pretty depressing right now, but hopefully things do get better. And I think
we might have to break them up.
Yeah, well, here's the question. I actually have one more question. How do you break up these companies? Because since they are on the internet and they have servers or whatever it is, like it's not like a bank where they have little bank branches everywhere where all this stuff is kind of, I guess, in one location. How do you break up, let's say, Google? So
Google, for example, they have multiple products and they have multiple product lines, but they only really make money from one of them, and that's advertising.
Right.
They're an advertising company. So if you were to take the advertising division of Google and break it out from their cloud computing, and you made YouTube its own company that was only a video platform, and you were to take a lot of these products and separate them into separate companies and then force them to compete, then you would have more of a free market again. So ultimately, you'd have to break out the areas that are generating revenue from the other things that are losing money that are then riding on the backbone of these other things. So like Amazon, for example, they make most of their money from cloud compute.
Yes.
They actually sell products for a lot.
AWS
so when you buy something on Amazon, Amazon's not necessarily making a profit off that. And then that's what destroyed small businesses because small businesses can't offer items at those prices, but Amazon's willing to take the loss because they're making billions of dollars, inking CIA contracts for $500 million to be their cloud computing provider. Because most of the money that Amazon pulls in is from cloud computing and has nothing to do with any other product or service.
You nailed it right there. I only found out about the Amazon AWS mostly through you, Phil. But I'd heard about it before, but you really sort of like made me look into this more. And it is amazing how many companies run on that thing. It's if Jeff Bezos did, whoever did it, thought the idea was smart, thinking.
They set up so many data centers and availability zones, and it's like all over the world too. It's like, wow, there's no way that Google or even Microsoft is going to be able to catch up. Like they might inch close, but they'll never take a like they're too far ahead. There's too much capital in what Amazon is doing. Like,
they own 70-80% of the market.
Yeah. Whoa. Like it's real. It's real. I had another question. I guess this might be the last one.
This will be the final question.
Yeah. No, I enjoy this conversation.
Oh yeah, you were
great.
very interesting.
Yeah. So, what do you think? Do you think Silicon Valley is going to be so wrapped up in this this AI, like this trying to manipulate like social engineering and all this stuff? Do you think it's possible that they could be so caught up in this that they end up losing out to maybe foreign markets? Because there's still foreign markets are still developing, like in China, in Korea, and Russia, and all the they're still developing. They're not going to stop.
So unfortunately, this is kind of scary, but you got to look at who owns these tech companies, and they are owned by foreign investors. The Chinese, the Saudis. A Saudi prince owns more of Twitter than Jack Dorsey. So, unfortunately, the foreign market has already invested heavily in the tech industry. They're already influencing Silicon Valley, and that's also why a lot of decisions are being made. So they bought influence into these tech companies, and they own a piece of them. So that's why you see different things with different religions, and certain things happen on Twitter and some of their terms of service and policies. They're being influenced by the people who have invested in their company, and a lot of it is foreign money. If you were to get rid of all the foreign money from the tech industry, it would possibly collapse.
Wow. Well, that is literally probably one of the most fascinating interviews I've ever done.
See,
show.
this is why I wanted him on
Thank you,
here.
Phil.
This is why I wanted him on here. He's like worldly intelligent, and I was like, we needed something like this. We're going to talk about the Vox Adpocalypse. You needed a tech perspective to be able to kind of
you need a tech expert.
Explain it all. So thank you so much, Trent, for coming on here. Right?
No problem, guys.
Yeah, well, definitely. Where can just so people don't forget, where can they find you online?
At Trent Lipinski on Twitter, on Facebook, Medium, at TrentLipinski.com, and then my new podcast is TechPost.io.
Awesome stuff. Thank you for coming on again. I may ask you to come on again. I hope you're down for it, but I just love that conversation we had.
Yep. Let me know, man.
Awesome. I loved having you on. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Have a good one.
All right. Take care, guys.
You too. Bye-bye. Oh, man, that was heck of an interview. Trent was great. I'm so happy we were able to have him on. Alex, are you there?
Yep.
I am so sorry that Discord didn't work for the one time. I mean, it was okay, there were so many things that went wrong today. First, my eye was screwed up, and I had to run to the urgent care off campus a ways to fix that in time for the show. And then when we got here, the studio was locked. We were locked out of the studio. I called our president, who had to call somebody that just happened to be coming in today to try to open it, and he couldn't swipe in, so he had to call the staff, but the staff was not on duty there at the hub info desk, so then he had to call a number that called a janitor, who then got here and opened the door. and then when we got in, the Mac Mini wasn't working, so I looked at a sheet here that was laid out, and it said the Mac Mini will not be working this week. And what day did it start on? Did it start tomorrow? Monday? No, it started today. And so we couldn't use Discord to have good quality. So, yeah, there was that. Oh, and the second phone line wouldn't work. So we can only do one phone line at a time. But I'll end rant on that. But so what was your take on all the interviews, Alex? What did you think of it? What was your 2 cents?
Oh, no, I thought it was great. I enjoyed being able to go to hear from Six, and the last, the final guy, I didn't really know him too well, but he had a lot of good insight on that company. Here's the thing that, I don't know, that phone line, for whatever reason, that quality on there, and I could hear it on the audio too from my access streaming it while you guys were playing. But for some reason, it's the thing you set up, it was the spike podcast. But I don't know. What they have this good make it sound like you're broken.
What was that last thing you said? Kind of trailed off.
Yeah, they need to fix their phone lines.
Well, I heard they need to fix the phone line. That was I definitely agree with that one.
Yeah, as your voice started to disappear. Yeah, I know. We had to deal with what we had, but once we get the Mac Mini back up, for whatever reason it's down, once that's back up and we can get all our guests on Discord, it's going to sound fabulous.
Oh, yeah, I thought it was like some really good discussion. Like, I enjoyed like some of the stuff with the tech guy. I mean, I work kind of in technology, so
yeah.
Yeah, Trent's insight was pleasantly surprising. Like, I thought this guy, because on his Twitter bio, you just see, like hacker, technologist. I'm like, oh, he sounds like a cool guy. You have maybe some interesting stuff to say. I mean, I just didn't know what to expect, 'cause I'd never heard the guy before.
He was hiding a lot of information about himself. He's like, oh, I work for a whole bunch of companies, startup companies. I was a CEO.
Yeah.
I'm like, geez, you know a lot more than you're letting on. Like,
they
just said, like, geez, got all that information in your back pocket.
Yeah.
You guys got some big shoes to fill, though, for the regular school year.
Yeah,
so,
I know.
In the middle of the summer,
yeah,
when no one at Penn State.
Yeah, I know, but this is all thanks to Dictator Phil. He's the one that reached out to these people initially and told me about it.
I'm hoping that this gets the snowball effect going. Like we get a couple, we get these really awesome guests on our show, and then we just keep it going because there's so much in a given week. There's so much to talk about. Two, like, it's just more fun. Like these shows are more fun when more people are talking.
Yes.
And we get more opinions on here, even opinions that we may not agree with all the time.
Of course.
It's still good to collect the insight and then just banter together, and hopefully by the time that like the fall semester kicks off, it'll start getting like way better.
Oh yeah, and Alex, we're gonna have definitely Trent on again because he was awesome and he definitely was excited to come on again. And we could probably get Styx back on again, even though he's a big name YouTuber. He more than willing to come on this time, so we'll definitely try to get these guys back on, and Sam too. So you can obviously chime in more when we have a tech-related story, especially a YouTube-related story, because I feel bad that you got to miss out on that, but I tried to ask your questions the best I could.
I did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't your fault. Like, this wasn't the first time we've had technical difficulties with the radio station.
Yeah, it was just a crazy set of when I was ranting earlier, I was more just ranting on how crazy the circumstances were of what every series. It was like a total series of unfortunate events of every a series of unfortunate Murphy's Law events. Like everything that could go wrong was going wrong. I'm like, what's going on? But we got in here and we still put the show on.
We made our lemonade. We made our lemonade. That's all
I wasn't gonna let anything stop me. I was like, no, we are getting into the studio. We're recording this. We are getting Styx on. We're getting Sam on. And we're getting Trent on. Any final thoughts before we close out on this very special edition of Real News?
No, just I try to get more big name people in here because I thought that was awesome. I mean, the stuff that we usually do is awesome too, but just being able to go and interview some of these people that, other people might not really have the opportunity to. And I know there's a lot of even, big name YouTubers who will go on to, smaller people shows. I don't know if you know Mr. Medicare, but he does stuff like that, too. He'll jump on the streams with, 20, a channel that has, 20 people subscribed to it.
Yeah. I really appreciate, people 300 and 70,000 subscribers, Styxhexenhammer coming on, because that's just, he didn't have to do that, but he did anyway, and I really appreciate it. And he retweeted one of our tweets. It's just very nice of him, and very nice of all of our guests for coming on. I really appreciate it. I don't want to go all high minded it's such an honor to have you on, but it really does feel special being able to talk to these people, because these YouTubers have a way more authentic, down to earth sort of connection.
And
with
when we
people.
talk, and more importantly, when we talk about these events, they have their finger on the pulse with a lot of what's going on, a lot more than we do. Look, we talk about stuff and we do our homework and we try to have ourselves as as educated of a conversation as we possibly have, with a little bit of fun, of course.
Of course.
But these are people that really have their finger on the pulse of what's going on. Like Vox Adpocalypse, right? We have YouTubers, right? These are people that, you know, they have podcasts, they're on YouTube. Like, these are people that are really in the crosshairs, and like, and it's so rich to have these individuals give their 2 cents and give their opinions, and like, well, what's going on? What can we do? What can we do? Anything? Can we? Like, it's so rich. I'm looking for. I hope we can keep doing this. This is
Absolutely.
what
This is what it's all about right here.
This right here is what it's all about. And looking forward. I'm looking forward.
Me too.
To more events like this.
Of course, yeah. I have loved every second I've spent in this studio. Oh, other than a few seconds of oopsie, but all the other times I have, just loved it, and it's just a joy coming on every week with my friends and people I don't know that call in and talk to us, or people I look up to that call in. It's just great. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week with more real news.